the revelation of a presence and power that cannot be defined by human thought, and which ordinarily is not brought into play in human experience except by those who have caught a vision of a spiritual universe. The ordinary human thinker does not penetrate that realm of the spirit. Their entire life and reasoning faculties and awareness remains in a three-dimensional world. A world that can be seen, heard, tasted, touched, smelled, and thought about from the standpoint of what can be seen, heard, tasted, touched, and smelled. In that realm, we have might, power, strength, wisdom, cunning. We have all forms of human powers, either aiding us or harming us, either being used constructively or destructively, and the human world is made up of that entire picture, sometimes good and sometimes bad, and the reactions that come to an individual from what they behold with their five physical senses and the reasoning mind. The few who penetrate that scene and see it cross into the spiritual realm have discerned that there is another power, another presence, that is neither power nor presence in the human sense of understanding. It is not presence because it is not outlined form. It is not power because it does not supplant or overcome or rule or govern other powers. Yet it is a presence in the sense that the spiritually illumined feel it, sense it, cognize it, are aware of it, even while the it has no actual form, outline, color, or dimension. And it is a power because its very presence reveals harmony, even where discord, disease, sin may have been. The mystics of all ages, and when we use the word mystics, we mean, of course, those who have attained some measure of conscious oneness with God, some measure of contact with cosmic consciousness. The mystics of all times have discerned this invisible presence and power and availed themselves of it, and through it risen to great lives of peace, harmony, joy within their own being, although many of them have suffered persecution from the outside world. This, of course, has never disturbed their inner being. They understand the reason for this persecution, since they well realize that this power would destroy those and the activity of those who might permit it entrance into their consciousness, and we are not ready yet to see the advantage of giving up their life, their personal sense of life, for this divine life or spiritual life. To the materialist, it is a very difficult thing to imagine being happy by giving or being wealthy by giving. For all his training is that happiness and wealth are to be achieved by getting. This three-dimensional world, which is what is called the human world, material world, but really is only a false concept of the real, is never destroyed in and of itself. It is seen through. It is understood for what it is, and in that understanding comes the dissolution of it. In other words, there is no such thing as an objectified, physical, mortal, material universe. The only universe there exists is this spiritual, real world of God's creating. And the proof of that is that the moment a degree of inner vision is awakened, this world becomes the only real, and the mortal concept begins to lose reality and to disappear. Probably many of you know that as long as there has been recorded history, there have been secret religious orders, secret religious brotherhoods, under many names, formed for many different purposes. I think most all of them very good purposes. And they all require a form of initiation. The initiate must go through certain trials, tests, examinations, before they ultimately are admitted to brotherhood in these religious organizations. And while the actual initiation may differ in exterior forms, the tests and trials and examinations are all alike in this. The initiate must go through harrowing experiences, such as if they have loved ones at home, in their meditations and in their periods of quiet, they behold pictures of these loved ones dying or being killed or robbed. If they are married, they may see visions of betrayal, falseness, deceit. Other loved ones may come under other forms of evil. They behold all this. And the temptation is, of course, to leave this order and get back home and protect their loved ones or bury their loved ones or do whatever is necessary to restore harmony in their experience. And of course, at each one of these steps, some initiates do fall out and go home, and that ends their spiritual progress. Others manage to get past that and find themselves in other harrowing experiences and drop by the wayside. But eventually those who survive come to one ultimate test. Everyone in every one of these orders goes through the same test. The final test is being brought to the brink of a cliff and being told, and of course one must be obedient, being told to jump off onto the rocks beneath or the waters and be killed. Of course, it's so high, the rocks are so terrible below that there is no hope of survival. It is actual death. But then the whole thing is, which will it be, death or disobedience? If it is disobedience, there's no hope of being admitted to the brotherhood. If it's death, that also may mean no hope. On the other hand, who knows? Might be one here or there might survive, since there are some brothers in the order. They must have survived. Well, there's the test. Each one decides for himself. And needless to say, anyone who is obedient and jumps off the cliff automatically becomes a member, for the simple reason that long before they can reach the rock, they have awakened and found that the whole thing was an illusion. They had been hypnotized into witnessing all of these pictures from the very first to the last. None of it was ever real. And of course, those who stopped earlier in the game and went home found to their dismay also that none of that had ever happened, and they had just lost their chance for spiritual progress. Those who survived the final test were happy to be admitted to the brotherhood, but something greater had happened than being admitted to a brotherhood. They had learned the entire secret of human experience. It is a state of illusion. Such conditions do not exist anywhere in the realm of the real as they were tempted to see and believe in. And of course, if you want to know it, we are the initiates. And we are right now taking the degrees of brotherhood. Right now we are being tried with experiences of lack or limitation, sin, disease, and some of us actually death. And you'd be surprised at the looks on some of the faces of the people who thought they died. They're quite surprised when they find that the whole experience is an illusion. Never happened. There they are, beginning right where they left off. We may not have realized that we were undergoing this initiation, but we are. Everyone who has been responsible for spiritual healing work knows right well that they have never healed a disease or set a bone. All they have done is pierce the illusion of hypnotic suggestion and seen through to the world of God's creating, to the man of God's creating, to the laws of God's creating. And that is why we have today healers, metaphysical healers, spiritual healers. Every one of them, in a measure, has seen through the illusion, has seen that God is the only life, the only wisdom, the only law, the only substance, the only cause, and the only effect. And so, when you face this human experience from the standpoint of believing that you have a choice, remember that the only choice is to have a good illusion or a bad illusion, to have a rich illusion or a poor illusion, as long as we are viewing life from this appearance standpoint. Now, the human mind cannot pierce the veil any more than the initiates in the brotherhood can pierce that veil while under hypnotism. It is only as they come out from the hypnotism that some have, by divine grace, enough light to know that they had been hypnotized and to disregard the experience they had gone through. Others, still carrying a measure of hypnotism, believe that it was real and run out to do something about it. Now then, this faculty that enables one to pierce the veil, to see through the illusion, is called Christ. It is called soul faculties. It is called spiritual consciousness. And spiritual consciousness means consciousness of the Spirit, or consciousness of the things of the Spirit. And you can see that material sense could never have that. Some, fortunate indeed, come unto this plane of existence with some measure of that illumined consciousness, enough at least to behold some degree of reality. Others, and most of us are in that category, have only this mortal material sense of things and find it very, very difficult even to believe that there is a universe of harmony right here and now, and that we, all of us, may enter it at will, not by choice, but because there is no other universe, and all that is necessary to behold it is a tiny measure of that touch, that Christ consciousness, that spiritual awareness. And so the question that comes to us, and this is the question that will come to you as people come to you for help, and is the answer you will have to give: how may we have the ability to pierce that veil, to see through the illusion, and to know that it is very safe for us to jump, since the only place we can jump is into the everlasting arms. The answer is this: you have already the first seed of that illumination. It is because you have that seed that you started in the beginning on a spiritual path. It was that spiritual seed that drove you there. Until you had it, you could not have come to any spiritual teaching. It would have bored you to death. It would have angered you. It would have seemed nonsensical to you. Because the things of God are foolishness with me. And the mere fact that this isn't foolishness to you is the indication that already you have risen above the level of mortal man. In that degree, then, you have no choice but to continue. Nor need you have any doubts or fears about the ultimate result. The fact that you have been placed on the path is enough. Probably the greater efforts, fears, or doubts you entertain temporarily about your ability to attain may, for a while, prevent the attainment. Or, the other way around, the greater your ability to relax, the greater your ability to understand that you are not here of your own choice or by your will, but that a seed was planted in you and that it is sprouting, the more you can realize that and just step aside and let it take its normal course, the more quickly will you awaken into your membership in the brotherhood. It is inevitable. You can't miss. The awakening is an act of grace. It is an act of God for which you have no personal responsibility. The government is upon His shoulders. Only, mark this, only as you look out on this world from the standpoint of appearances will you see yourself having to struggle and strive to achieve spirituality. The longer you look at life from that standpoint, the greater the struggle. But in this very moment, as you drop that barrier as you drop the sense of looking out at a world of illusion and trying to improve it, as you quietly sit back in the realization, certainly, what else is true, what else is logical than that God is the creator of this universe, and it's the creator, the maintainer, and the sustainer. And if this is true, and we have entered a state of illusion, what could be truer than that only God could be the destroyer of the illusion? And so again, where is your personal responsibility? You haven't any. Be normal, be natural, live every single day in accord with a pattern that is placed before you in the morning. Yes, we have an obligation, but even violating it will not keep us out of heaven, since already the seed is planted and is growing. But the obligation is keep in thought, so far as is possible, the idea that you must never judge either man or circumstance from looking at the world from the standpoint of its appearances. Stop looking at sick and sinful men and wondering how to make them well. Stop looking at the pictures that are painted in the newspapers and radio and television and wonder how you are going to improve it. You aren't going to improve it. Illumination is going to dissolve it. And the greater part of illumination is the realization that only God can do that. We spoke the other morning about the fact that the salvation of the world, that is the redemption of the world, the revelation of the world in its spiritual perfection and purity, is not only inevitable, but it is not even far off. Progress toward that is so rapid that I don't think I could be surprised if I woke up tomorrow morning and found the entire world at peace and in the arms of God.